Yeah, well, for my sake, um, there was no insurance. So when I was injured this year, my hamstring, I was out twice this year with a hamstring injury. I couldn't even get an MRI. The club doctor was saying there's no insurance for the club to get an MRI, and the club wanted me to pay for it myself. It's like, you do you know what I mean? And that's the worry with certain things that are happening, and it's more like some games we get offered like 10,000 ringgit if we win as a bonus, but they hadn't paid salaries for 3 months. It just wasn't a good experience, and that's the worry. And a lot of players are afraid to talk. Like, I don't think anyone's put in a report to FAM or to the PFAM within the team, because everyone's worried about next year, what's happening. They all talk about it, but and I'm the crazy one for wanting to speak up. It's even with salary cuts. They want to cut our salaries when FAM clearly stated, in the PFAM and FIFA, if you're in debt, how can you cut? It's like me saying, "Oh, well, there's a problem. Let's cut December's salary." But I haven't paid you for 5 months, 6 months, 7 months, whatever. It's so there was just a lot of it was just wasn't a good experience for myself. As mentally just stressful. It's just something I would never go through again, personally. Yeah, well, it's like the landlord calling me up saying, "Hey, mate, you need to pay your bill, or you're out." And it's like, well, the club's meant to be dealing with that. What do you want me to do? And there's a pandemic going on. Just go outside and catch COVID. It's like, it's things like that. There's more things that I could go into detail about, but I'm here right now just to start off with. I think Melaka just need to know that, like, someone like myself, I'm not afraid to talk. I don't care. And I follow the procedures that we've done, going through FAM and the PFAM, and I've done all the obligations in the contract, and I've given them enough time and spoken to the club, and but it still gets, now it's got to the point no one even wants to reply to any of the players. Like, no one still knows if they are kept on next year or not. Yeah. So it's just, well, the biggest concern was for myself, during a world pandemic, you want, everyone normally unites and comes together at some sort of level. And I think the hardest part was, we were, like myself, the salaries weren't coming in on time before the pandemic had hit, and we went to lockdown. And throughout the whole lockdown, I hadn't received any salary at that time, and just becoming months and months behind. And always trying to just communicate with the management, asking, what's happening, because we have families to feed. Myself, I've got a family to feed, got a house to pay off. It's got a lot of responsibilities I've got to do, and just during that time, it was just difficult. And then, obviously, with such the long break that we had, I came back, did my hamstring again, was injured, and it was bad. Like, I knew it wasn't, like, it was a bit longer than the first time, and we didn't have. I asked the doctor, "Can we just get an MRI? Can we just get an MRI?" And there's no insurance to get the MRI. So it's like, so what am I doing with the injury? And then I get told to go back to train. I might be okay, but there's no scans to see how bad the injury was. And then within my first 5-10 minutes in the training, it goes a bit again, and I'm back out. Then the pressure's on you. And it's like, I just wanted to be protected from every aspect. Okay, I understand there's a pandemic going on, but and there's a lot more problems. But I just wanted to have someone to put their arm around and just say, "Hey, look, we'll take care of you as a family, and help get you out of the situation." And even with the injury, that's the biggest concern for me. That I'm thank God that I didn't have anything serious that could have maybe ended my career. We were, like, it was inconsistent, the pays. So I can't, like, honestly, got to the point where I didn't even know what month I was owed. and it will come in little bits, this and that. So I think from the first lockdown was like March, April, May. We were like 3 months behind that whole time. Then obviously when we came out of it, a month or two had come in, and then it kind of just stopped. And so all I can remember off the top of my head is the last pay that we had received was like last month, I think, for July. For myself, I got July. And that was just a worry. And I'm asking him. So I followed all the procedures, honored my contract, and didn't want to speak because, you're under contract and you got to respect the club and respect the FAM and everything like that. And I think it was on let me look. It was the 8th of November. I ended up giving in a letter to the club to let them know that they're in default notice, and they had to the 22nd to pay. And if failed, I can terminate the contract. Up until the date, no response from Musa. So I terminated. So I followed all the right procedures, and I've done an affidavit, and I've sent it to FAM. And I know FAM will take care of the players and settle this matter. And I trust the process that they'll go through. But I'm more concerned about players not speaking about these situations, especially when maybe insurance isn't paid for, this and that, because these things, our career tomorrow can be finished. And, we need to make sure we're taken care of. Now, as of 3 months, technically as of now, and then it's coming into so August, September, October has not been paid. And then November, which I think on contract you have until the 7th of December, for the club to pay. So we're going into our 4th month. Also, what I'm not happy about was they wanted to cut salaries when they were already, 2 months, in debt at the time. They were saying that they wanted to cut salaries. They gave me a letter. I didn't agree. I first gave them a nice formal letter saying I'm happy to take a percentage of a cut based on we're up to date and there's no more late payments, which is fair. Because I understand everyone in this world is taking pay cuts, but I don't see why you can ask an individual to take a pay cut when you haven't paid him. So what's there to cut? And without my consent, so I think May, June, July was cut, my salary. And I never signed a document to say I give you permission to do that. So, and it's things like that. But then we're getting offered huge bonuses to win games to keep the team alive. So I can't understand why that was happening. And the weirdest part was one day I was injured, so I obviously wasn't the starting squad, so I don't get the bonus. And they're handing out the bonuses to individuals, and then straight after they come up to me saying, "Curran, can you sign an agreement to cut your salary because we don't have any money?" It's like, what? It's just it's behavior like that. And then the biggest concern was just the insurance, not paying for my insurance. I couldn't even get an MRI to check on my hamstring the second time around. Doctors just told me go pay for it yourself at some other hospital because there's nothing we can do at this point in time. And players' welfare to me is massive. And people don't realise the stuff that goes behind the scenes that we have to go through. And I'm sick and tired of hearing next week. That's I hear that. Oh, I want to bash my head on a wall. Everyone's been, as of now, I don't know. There's been no communications with the club as of now. I've messaged, I've gone through the right process, sent letters in. I haven't heard anything. So what everyone else is doing, I don't know. And I can't. That's why I'm coming here to speak for myself, because I do know certain individuals are afraid to talk. I'm coming in here to let everyone know this is my circumstance. This is where I'm at. And if anyone else is afraid to talk, if you don't want to do it now, when your contract's done on the 30th of November, come out and speak. Because none of us should go through that. Because they're afraid they won't get a club next year. Or clubs won't keep them. This guy talked too much. Everyone here, you talk too much. It's a suppression on the players. It's I just don't understand it. It goes both ways. A contract's a mutual obligation between both parties. If one's failed one end, what's wrong with the other one trying to speak about it? You just fight. Just fighting for our rights, fighting for my right. That's all. It doesn't need to be any more complicated than that. But players, over my experience over the years, they're afraid to talk. And I can understand why, because we don't have much to fall back on. A lot of us don't have an educational degree to get good paying jobs or anything like that. So after football, you're starting all over again, and that's where you see with a lot of statistics, that I can speak about in Australia and obviously in the UK. I think it was like 1 in 4 players go bankrupt. They don't know how to financially use their money. They get caught into a lifestyle, and the money dries out. So there's a lot of things behind the scenes that players need to be aware of, but at the same time, I think players need to be respected by the clubs and have what's the word? We need to be valued a little bit more. Honestly, there was. I don't want to go into talks about it right now. Coming on here is just to show that this is chapter 1. Right, that's all I'm going to say. I've got to follow the procedure now of FAM, send an affidavit, and I'll let them deal with the situation. But if things get out of hand, then what's the point? I'll end up speaking a bit more if I have to. But I hope it doesn't have to get to that part. And I want to respect. So, it's pretty much starts with, what's happening. All you hear is next week. The hardest part was at the start, out of respect for the club and out of respect for Coach Arnold, who has been the key to holding that team together after personal things going on with everyone. He was the reason the team survived in the Super League and came to training. And all credit to Coach Arnold, absolutely lovely man. Got all the utmost respect for him. So, I couldn't speak too much to the management because I don't want anyone to be. I want the club just to focus on winning. Do you know what I mean? So, we spoke verbally. Then I went to PFAM, spoke to him about the situation. We sent in a letter to the club as a notice of default. Nothing, no communication was coming back. Sent them in, sent them messages and, communicating again. And then I think they had about 14 days notice to come to either settle the debts or the contract's terminated. And on the 23rd of November, I'm officially free. Send in another letter to say that I will be terminating. And then the next process is we've sent an affidavit to FAM now. So it's all on their file. Within the whole time, FAM already knew what was going on, but obviously you got to follow the procedures. And then now it's up to FAM to settle this matter. And, however they do it, I'm not exactly sure what goes on from here. It's my first time experiencing this. So, I've signed back overseas because after the experience for this year, I can't put my wife through that. I can't put my family through that again. And I understand that there's going to be a lot of salary issues next year and that, and I don't want to go through it all again. So I've spoken to my wife and I've signed back in Australia. I think it's best to be, with the family and all of that. And just go from there. Just wait. I don't know. We'll see what happens there. But as of now, I've committed for a team in Australia, which will be announced a little bit later. I just got to get through quarantine first. That's all, and not get too fat.